When Masai Ujiri shocked the NBA world by picking Scottie Barnes over Jalen Suggs as the 4th overall pick in the 2020 draft, there were plenty of doubters from both Raptors fans and analysts as to whether this was the right choice, especially considering that the franchise just traded its all-time greatest point guard, Kyle Lowry of course, to the currently first-place team in the East, the Miami Heat. However, it didn't take long for that narrative to stop, as right out of the gate Scottie Barnes took the NBA world by storm with his limitless energy, high ball IQ, highly polished and versatile two-way skill set, and already elite playmaking capability, not to mention his more than NBA-ready body. With the Raptors facing injuries to key players Pascal Siakam and Chris Boucher to start the season, this allowed Scottie to get his flow going with more shots to go around, especially considering the amount of shots that Siakam would typically command. This left a lot more shots on the table and Scottie was able to take advantage of this. One of my personal favorite games early in the season, and probably the game that I realized that Barnes is going to be more than just a factor for this team, was none other than that early season win in the TD Garden against the Celtics, where he single-handedly dropped 25 points and 13 rebounds while locking down Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown at the same time. And Scottie sustained his stellar play until a knee injury kept the rookie sensation sidelined. And because he is most certainly tough as nails and has had aspirations to be the NBA Rookie of the Year since before the start of the season, Scottie was clearly playing through pain for a while, leading all the way up until the All-Star break. And because of this injury, it allowed Evan Mobley to take over the top spot in the rookie race. And that's not taking away from Evan Mobley's performance. He's been sensational this season, and don't get me wrong. But if we fast forward to the present, however, that aforementioned knee injury being the main reason for Scottie's cool down after that blazing hot start, in hindsight was definitely the main reason for the dip in his performance. Now that he's healthy again and running on all cylinders, Scottie is once again reminding the basketball world why he was practically a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year honors early on in the season. I dug into the numbers, team statistics, advanced player metrics, and game footage to find out why Toronto Raptors rookie sensation Scottie Barnes will be a generational superstar. Now first things first, Scottie Barnes is a playmaker before anything else. Now this was a known fact in his draft scouting report as one of the key areas for concern for the top 5 prospect, and it can be summed up into 2 questions. Will he be an effective scorer at the world's top level? And would he be willing to do it aggressively and efficiently enough? Now this was recently pointed out by ESPN draft analyst Mike Schmitz on the Low Post podcast. And Schmitz has in fact covered Scottie since he was a child. And his exact words were, "It's in his nature to be a giver, but I'm not sure he's ever going to be wired to score." Now the fact that Scottie's doing what he has been doing recently is a shock to someone who has watched him play for so long. Just goes to show that Scottie's scoring ability, and probably his willingness to do so, is most likely something new for him as well. And I say this because Schmitz also noted in the same podcast that Barnes was working on something called quote-unquote the 25 perfect. By the way, I did just notice that only about 5.2% of you that are actually watching this video right now are subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. It really does make a world of difference. And smash that like button while you're at it, so that this video can get to the right sets of eyes. So it's basically a drill where you have every player take 30 seconds to visualize themselves scoring 25 points. Then they would go on the court and get to each spot. They visualize and score those points, and the goal is to train your mind to score 25 points in a game. And this is what Schmitz said about this. Now when it comes to Scottie, it took him a while to even conceptualize scoring 25 points in an empty gym. I remember him saying, "Wait a minute, I need a little bit more time." And then he would ask, "But do assists count?" And Schmitz is recalling this, and he's just like in awe of what he's doing right now because he's looking at what Scottie's been able to do on the NBA level. And then he goes on to say that this is Scottie Barnes 101. And as endearing as that is on one hand, on the other hand, he is so far in his mind from being this aggressive scorer, and it has never been in his nature. Well, Mike, it certainly looks like now it's becoming a part of his nature, I'll tell you that. Because although Scottie's season averages are stellar right now, his recent play has seen the rookie return to averaging similar numbers to what he was when he was a leader in the Kia rookie ladder, except for one thing. The numbers are even better now. In his latest and probably the best performance of his young career thus far, Scottie dropped a near triple-double and was a significant factor in a win against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets last night. And over the last 10 games, Scottie's averaging 19 points per game, 8.4 rebounds, 3.3 assists, almost 2 steals a game at 1.9, and a block a game on a sizzling 57% field goal percentage. In comparison, Evan Mobley, who's of course the current leader for ROI honors, in his last 10, he's averaging 15.7 points per game, 9.6 rebounds, 1.7 blocks, and 1.1 steals on 49.6% shooting and 69% free throw percentage, as well as 20% from three-point range. And it's clear right now when comparing the two that Scottie is the better rookie right now, even when it comes to his base stats. And I will get to the advanced stats soon. But before that, I do want to add that given the fact that the Raptors are currently riding a 3-game win streak, which included handing Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns what was just their 14th loss of this season, the stats that Scottie's padding are contributing to meaningful victories. The Raptors are now just 2 games behind the Cavs for the Eastern Conference 6th seed, and have the league's 4th easiest post-All-Star break schedule. And bearing all this in mind, it's not rocket science to assume that Scottie Barnes, if he keeps this up, will soon overtake Mobley in the Kia rookie ladder. And no US bias will be able to hold any weight against this reality. In regards to the latter, number 1 overall pick Cade Cunningham has been climbing this month, averaging 22 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 5.8 assists. So it seems like the Rookie of the Year race is going to be tight, as Cade and Scottie have now risen and Mobley continues to fall. And when you compare the trio's performances from the most recent rankings to the last one, it looks like the race to the finish line for this year's Rookie of the Year award is going to be a tight one. Now, as for advanced stats, this is where it gets interesting. See, when it comes to PER, Scottie's efficiency rating at 16.37 is higher than both Mobley, who sits at 15.89, and Cade, who sits at 23rd amongst all rookies for this metric at 12.71. Now, judging by this sole metric, Scottie's overall per-minute statistical production is higher amongst the top 3 rookies in the rankings, meaning given the minutes that he's playing, he's producing more than both Mobley and Cunningham within that same time frame. And also, if one were to look at another key advanced metric coincidentally for Scottie, known as Raptor Rating, which is basically a per 100 possession type measurement where it measures a player's contribution per 100 possessions on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So relative to the league's average player, that's how you're going to come up with a WAR rating. And Scottie's WAR rating is 3.7, which trumps both Mobley and Cade's, who stand at 2.2 and 0.8 comparatively, meaning that per 100 possessions on offense and on defense, Scottie Barnes is more valuable to his team. And these metrics do impact the outcome of a game. So knowing a player's WAR is extremely important if you want to get an overall scope on what kind of impact that player has on your team. And if NBA ROI awards were awarded based on advanced stats rather than base stats, Scottie at this point would undoubtedly be a runaway candidate. And there's no doubt about that. Regardless of whether Scottie wins the award or not, it's absolutely terrifying to think that the strengths in his game, which I mentioned in the beginning of the video, are him just scratching the surface of his potential. And given how rapidly his game is evolving, the sky seems to be the limit for him. When we look at some of his best plays here, the way he reads situations before making a decision, the fact that he has an arsenal of post moves in his growing repertoire, which he's finishing with extreme confidence and not to mention incredibly high efficiency, as you can see in these clips. And also his hook shot, one of my personal favorites, the Scottie Abdul-Jabbar's, absolutely unblockable shot, man. And of course, we all know just how unblockable a good hook shot really is. As need I remind everyone that it was the bread and butter of somebody that some of y'all may know. Only the leading scorer of all time in the NBA. And when you consider that this is a small ball era now in the NBA, mastering a hook shot and your post moves may just be your ticket to becoming one of the greatest post scorers the game has ever seen. Because look at the size of Scottie and he could grow even more. And to some it may seem like a stretch, but Scottie has a chance to be one of the greatest post scorers and overall scorers that the game has ever seen. Not to mention the way he plays and the way he's built. If I were to compare him to any players, I'd have to fuse 2 of the greats together. And I'm talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo because of his athleticism and his motor, and his energy and his hustle and his explosiveness combined with Magic Johnson and his vision and IQ for the game. Not to mention the ball handling that Magic Johnson had. These are all attributes that Scottie possesses. And if we look at his shot, which was a pre-draft question mark, it's no longer much of a concern at all. Not only because the Raptors are known to turn poor shooters into good or sometimes even great shooters, but especially given the fact that his new form and shooting mechanics are looking more fluid than ever, his mid-range game is already lethal, And it seems at this point that him developing a three-point shot and mastering his shooting is more of an inevitability rather than a possibility at this point. And to top it off, his elite vision, guard-like ball handling, his ability to see over defenders and make the right plays at the right times, make passes over defenders, coupled with his ability to bang for boards with the best of them, and to put the cherry on top, his multi-positional capability also allows him to be switchable not just on offense but on defense, where he can guard 1 through 5, and he's proven that over and over in the season. And that is a huge commodity for a team that is lacking size at the 4 and 5. Now, is he the ideal center to have when you're facing teams who have formidable post presences and true big men? Not really. But the direction that the NBA is heading in right now when it comes to small ball, Scottie would probably be one of the taller centers in this league. I'm obviously exaggerating, but you get where I'm going with this. At this point, the question should be, what can Scottie Barnes not do? With his first postseason looking like a high probability, Scottie has a chance to add crucial playoff experience to his resume, which would put the cherry on top of what has thus far been one of the greatest rookie performances in Toronto Raptor history. And Raptors Nation, of course, I'm really hoping that Scottie Barnes joins Mighty Mouse and Vince Carter to be just the third Raptor to win the Rookie of the Year award in the franchise's history. But even if this doesn't happen, there most certainly seem to be many more awards to come for a player that is proving over and over that he is a generational superstar. Since I love NBA basketball, I've decided to cover other teams as well. And having said this, I'm sure you guys are already aware of the disaster in LA right now for the Lakers. I recently did make a take about that talks about why Russell Westbrook has caused the Lakers to fail. And I put a lot of time into it, so I really recommend you guys take a look at that. And I dove into some advanced metrics as well. So if you're not just a Raptors fan, but an NBA fan in general, you really do not want to miss that one. And remember, if you do watch it, you'll be feeding a hungry African. Seriously. I'm African. And I get hungry a lot. Got some munchies?